This is Nigeria Now on Equa Television. I'm Sambo Solomon Savi, and with me is Joyce Jakada.
A pleasant afternoon to you, Sambo
Good
Solomon.
afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and you?
I'm fine. Well, thank you for joining us. And as you know, today we're going to discuss issues of that is deviling our country, and then Nigeria Now is where we beam our light to issues that are really burning. So wherever you are, across the globe, you can join this conversation because we are live on Facebook and YouTube. So just do well and then drop your comment. And a very good afternoon to you. Joyce.
Yeah.
We're talking about how our educational sector will be functioning. I remember on this particular platform and other programs on this station, we talked about issue of education, how other countries prioritize education, and education is the one driving their economy because of the way, people are coming with innovation through school. And then we look at how some Nigerian parents are spending a lot of money, taking their children abroad just to go and study simply because they feel the system is doing well. The system is not fluctuating, and then the system is giving value to the money that they are paying. And here we are now with the issue of JAM, and then to even the National Assembly, in particular the House of Reps, to move a motion to form an ad hoc committee to investigate the issue of result. What's your take?
Well, the issue of the result or JAM result forgery is one that has put the 19-year-old Anambra student Mesoma Ejikeme on limelight. She's almost everywhere from last week or from the time that the result came out. You recall that Mesoma presented her JAM result of 360, scoring 362, and she was really celebrated by Nigerians, and it even gained her an award by one prominent Nigeria, a scholarship. Someone gave her about 3 million and all of that. And then after all of that, we saw how that JAM came out to say that no, that result was actually forged, and that's not the result of Mesoma Ejikeme. And Mesoma responded to that. She actually did a video saying that she actually went to Cafe JAM portal and she printed that result that showed 362, but she was amazed to see on the news that she forged her result. And listening to her give her own part of the story, she emphasized that she's traumatized, that how can she forge her result. That was what she actually printed. The barcode was verified, and it was seen that it was a different person's name that showed, and that person scored 200 and something. So how come her name with 362 and the barcode is showing a different name with different score? So she was talking about the fact that she feels traumatized and all, but JAM insisted that they have conducted their investigation and they found out that that result was actually forged. They went ahead to say that they have banned Mesoma Ejikeme from writing JAM for 3 years, and they have withdrawn her result to serve as penalty for anybody that want to tour that same part. And it was the result of that it draws there were a lot of reactions. Some were saying, oh, it's another hatred on the Igbo people. Maybe some people just want to take advantage of it because she got the highest score, and no, they don't want it to be from that region. They want to manipulate it. Different interpretation to it. We saw how the Ministry of Education even in Anambra State has said that, oh, they are going to investigate the state government as well, or Hanizi we also reacted to it. And just yesterday during the plenary of the House of Representative, we saw how that they resolved that they are also going to investigate the alleged forgery of the UTME results by Ejikeme Mesoma. And then the House passed the resolution during the plenary following the adoption of the motion that was actually sponsored by the People's Democratic Party lawmaker from Rivers State, Abiante Awaji. And then he talked about the fact that it was really uncalled for that JAM would decide to take such action without proper investigation, and then as a body they don't really have the right to investigate, even make punishment to the girl without following due process and all of that. And it is in that light that the house agreed that the whole thing should be investigated, even though we saw how that the member from Katsina talked about the fact that maybe an adult actually helped the lady, the girl in question, to do that, because as a minor she wouldn't have been able to do that. And like I said earlier on, a lot of reactions, others are of the opinion that wait, see, the issue of certificate forgery or result forgery is not new in Nigeria. We've seen a lot of people do that, create app and then forge their result. There are people that are using forged certificates and they are working in Nigeria, and then so that Nigerians are just being emotional about the whole thing, saying no, that's not fake, they are just trying to make hatred on the Igbo people and all of that, that this is a country where we see all of this happening. But the question here is, how far have we investigated that case? Because as far as I'm concerned, JAM was too fast to react to that issue. Like, look at the person in question is a minor, like 19-year-old Mesoma. Imagine subjecting the girl at this age to this kind of
19
trauma.
or 16?
To that kind of trauma. Well, there are different reports to that. So leading to the debate on the motion, the House have actually adopted that. And then, like I said, the person in question has already reacted to what JAM has said. And she said that she didn't forge her certificate. It was what she got from the portal that she was presenting. And my question or my concern here is that we need to strengthen our educational system. We should, like, we are truly backward, and no wonder the number of Nigerians that are trying to fall for every opportunity that presents itself to study outside the country. Some of the opportunities, even fake ones. Till today, we are still queuing to register for exam. We still queue in to go and write exam pen and paper. We still queue in to go and check results on board. In other climes, at the comfort of your home, you get the details of your exam as soon as you write it. But we keep going back and forth. How did these people even have access to even creating the app that JAM is saying, oh, we have even investigated, we have found out that it was a student of one of the Nigerian universities that actually developed that app of result forgery. Who is the person in question? Nigerians want to know. A lot of questions have been asked. A lot of things have been attributed to this question, to this issue. So who is the person involved? Because they said they know the person, they have the person's detail, and the person even risks his admission in that federal university. So beyond all of these things, can we have a system that is strengthened, a system that will not even allow all of this? How can a result have different person's name and the barcode reading another person's name with a different result? So there are a lot of explanations that needs to be done. Logical evidence, logical explanation is what Nigerians need about this issue. We don't want to be sentimental. We don't want to use emotions and all of that. It is the same institution that we had the issue of money being swallowed by monkey or snake. Until today, we've not had if the monkey or the snake has actually been caught or not. So, but in such situation, this case of JAM result forgery, we are seeing a very swift action being taken on it. Just a few days after the whole thing, investigation was carried on, findings have been done, and even punishment have been meted. So just like the House of Representatives have said, they should stay with the action that they are already taking, saying, oh, you are not, we are banning you from JAM and all of that, until proper investigation is being carried out. The House has already set up a committee to investigate that. The state government have done that. DSS are involved in this case and all of that. Let thorough investigation be done. And let's ensure that at the end of the day, this thing don't just go down quiet, because in most cases, that's what we always see. Committees are being said, investigate, we don't hear anything. JAM is already telling the girl, her family, to admit, to tell the truth, so that apologize and all of that. We don't need to force anybody to do what is against what they do not know or they didn't do in the first place. So let proper investigation. Mesoma has given her side of the story, and JAM has also said its own side of the story. After all was said and done, according to Mesoma, she said they sent her checks that showed that she scored 214 1999. That's contrary to what she printed. Why would we leave our site, our information so vulnerable that other people can even create app and forge result if that is anything to even go by? So let the system be strengthened in a way we will not be having all of these issues. If we're insisting, oh, when Nigerians are just being emotional, can we have statistical, empirical evidence that shows that yes, this is what actually forged? I think that is going to be needful. Well, we await the findings of the committee that has been set.
Yeah, one thing that gladdens my heart is how, you know, the House of Reps were swift about the whole issue, because it became a national interest, and they feel it is something that you know, they just have to, you know, come in quickly and then see how they will help in the whole issue. And I listened to him when I watched when the motion was raised, and then the argument, you know, and he one thing that captured my heart, he said this girl is just a minor, and probably she may not have anybody to speak on her behalf, and the only thing she have is the parliament, and people that are representing her there are the only people that can raise this issue, and then see how a proper handling of the matter would be.
I heard how her father also said he doesn't even have any plan to seek redress. He's leaving everything to God. Like, this is a girl from a poor background, like somebody that is struggling. But the good thing is the girl has an antecedent of good records from her primary school, and a lot of people have come out to testify, saw her results flying of junior, WAEC and other results. But with that is not to say that we're saying, oh, this is right, this is wrong, or this is what she has done. Investigation, like I said earlier on, is ongoing, and we await the finding. But we are only asking that whatever evidence that is coming out, it should be empirical, it should be logical enough, not just something that will just keep one day after a day we say, oh, we have found that and this is no.
And I quite agree with you when you talk about the issue of the system. You know, that's one thing that we need to do. All the system, let's make sure we strengthen them, that they will work on their own, because it is very important. Some of these things, once the system is weak, all of these things will come. That's when you will hear somebody embezzling money and then nothing is happening, because you ask, you know, somebody embezzling like 100 millions of naira, and you ask yourself, the person just went straight to wherever the money is kept and then open and then take whatever he wants to take and leave. The answer is no. Definitely, you must have followed several tables, you know, before that person could probably maybe get access to that. But we don't hear people talking about the process, how the person embezzled the money. You just hear so person embezzled. So we have to strengthen, you know, our system, so that everything will work accordingly. We have resident doctors issuing 2 weeks ultimatum. I think again.
And as we speak, there's already strike going on in Nasarawa State by doctors. It's just quite unfortunate. Like every day I will always say, do we have to resort to strike before demands are being met? These, and when you check, these are demands that federal government actually identified with, signed, but at the end of the day, nothing is being done. Well, the Nigeria Association of Resident Doctors have already issued a 2-week ultimatum to the federal government to commence the implementation of all pending agreements of first industrial disharmony, and then not give that ultimatum after its extraordinary National Executive Council meeting that held via Zoom yesterday. And they were speaking yesterday. They said that's coming from the president, Dr. Emeka Orji. We are issuing a 2-week ultimatum to the federal government to meet our demands with effect from yesterday, Wednesday, July 5th, and then to Friday, July 19, 2023. That's the date they are giving. And then they said it's unfortunate that when they went for the first warning strike that they did in May, sometimes in May, all the agreements that federal government signed, none of their demands that made them embarked on that 5-day warning strike have been met. And so they are calling on the government to actually look into what they have agreed to sign, and they should go back to their memorandum of understanding and then do something about it. They said everything that it was on the timeline that the federal government agreed to do, they didn't even do anything about it. And then the NED actually mentioned some of the demands, which include improving the welfare of doctors, and they also talked about even the policy that is kicking against doctors, giving license to doctors to travel outside the country. So they are actually saying federal government, there is need for them to go back, increment in the consolidated medical salary structure to the tune of 200% of the current gross salary of doctors, immediate massive recruitment of clinical staff in the hospitals, immediate withdrawal of the bill seeking to compel medical and dental graduates to render 5-year compulsory service in Nigeria before being granted full license to practice, immediate infrastructural development in the hospitals with a subsequent allocation of at least 15% of the budgetary provision to health in line with the 2001 Abuja Declaration. They are also demanding immediate recruitment of clinical staff. These, among others, are actually the demands, and federal government signed to it when they went for the 5-day warning strike. So they are calling on them to actually look into the demand and do something. Otherwise, after July 19, which is a Friday, they are going to embark on a strike, and they say that strike is going to be indefinite. But the call is this: at every point that strike is being declared, who suffers it? That's always the question. It is the common man, it is the average Nigerian that end up suffering, because the rich, the elite can afford private hospitals. They can, our leaders, people, political office holders can travel outside the country. But what happens to the woman in that Ashe village in Akwanga local government? What happens to the man in Gurum under Basa local government? What happens to that person that is in Kachia of Kaduna State? These are the questions that Nigerians are asking. That person that cannot afford private facilities, what happened to the person at the end of the day? So we need to look at whose interest we should put. If we put the interest of the common man or the interest of Nigeria, if we prioritize the needs of the citizens, then we won't be going back and forth with these issues. Anytime there are demand, we should compare to other developed nations, compare to other countries. What priority do we give to health sector? How about our budget allocation compared to the allowances, the humongous amount of money we see politicians or leaders share amongst themselves? What do we do? What do we do when it comes to health in the nation? You know that this is one sector that is really key and is important, and we need to actually prioritize. We shouldn't be going back and forth with all of these demands. Talking about improved welfare of some of these medical health workers is not something that should be debated. These are things that we should look into. Why would a medical practitioner be working for months and no salary? And then this is somebody that is dealing directly with the life of people. So I think it is uncalled for that we have to be going back and forth with the issue of strike. It was just when it was reported this week on the papers how that a pregnant woman died because of this issue of strike. So just imagine if this, at the end of the day, these people they are already on warning strike. So think about it when they go on this indefinite strike. What happens to the common man? So I just hope we get to a time where we prioritize our health, we prioritize education and every sector that matters to the country. And in general, the whole welfare of the citizens should be priority, so that we don't have to be going back and forth. People will tell you the only language that government understands is strike. But at whose detriment?
Well, it's quite unfortunate that it will be that the only language that government understand is strike. Then I will consider that government insensitive, because you don't subject people to a certain hardship that they have to put their demand in such a way that they have to close some important sector, and things like that doesn't give you good image even in the global society. Because when Nigerians are asking, like, what is the government giving them? That's the question they ask. Education, you spend heavily. You talk about health, you spend heavily. Some don't even go to hospitals for treatment. They choose for other alternative, like self-medication, going into herbals and concussion that, they are not even sure, simply because they can't afford to even go to a primary health care. And to some, you will find out they are taxpayers. They are taxpayers. They are taxpayers. And you start wondering, what is that the government is giving them? So I feel if you are there as an authority, I think it is very important that you think the welfare of the masses, people you are representing, it's very key, it's very important. Flood alert, this is something that we need to be very, very proactive about. You know, the issue of flood. You know, NEMA is warning against 14 states and 31 communities against flood. And you know the damage that this flood did, you know, last year, that almost everybody felt the impact because tankers couldn't transport fuel. You know, the fuel was hike, and then it resulted to hike in prices of commodities, and then loss of life. That is the biggest. And that one, you know, once life is gone, you can't replace it. And now NEMA are warning.
Well, it is the raining season, and you expect that, and no wonder the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, is saying that 14 states and 1 communities may witness heavy rainfall that may lead to flooding from July 4th to 8th across the country. NIMET actually gave such warning as well, saying northern Nigeria, inclusive Abuja, is also at risk. So people that are around waterways or some communities that have been listed should evacuate such places to avoid all these issues of loss of lives and properties, so we don't end up counting scores. You recall sometimes last year NEMA gave the same warning of states, of areas that are prone to flood, and we're already in the raining season. You agree with me that the past few days have been raining, especially at night, and then people are already living in that fear of flooding, especially areas that experienced that last year. So again, NEMA is saying 14 states and 31 community are at risk and of this issue of flooding, and they say the expectation is between 4th of July to 8th of July. Well, the days are still on, but we hope that the stakeholders like NEMA actually urge within the states that are concerned to take precautionary measures of forestalling the loss of lives and properties, and we hope they do that, so that at the end of the day it won't be an issue of reactive measures going to condole, to comfort people, or to say, oh, we are going to take rice, to take beans and all of that. This is the time for us to be proactive. The reactive measures is what we do not want, and no wonder the National Emergency Management Agency are saying, see, all stakeholders in all of these states, in all of these communities, should do the needful to forestall occurrences of loss of properties and then loss of life. They actually listed the states and then the communities, one of which is Plateau State, Lantan and Shandam, that these communities, these local governments, they are prone to actually flooding. In Kano State, Sumaila, Tudunwada are prone. Sokoto State, Shagari and Goronyo and Silami. And then in Delta, Okwe is also prone. Others include Kaduna State, Kachia, Akwa Ibom, Benekang, in Adamawa, Mubi, Demsa, Song, Mayo, Belwa, Jimeta, and then in Yola, Katsina State, we have Katsina, Jibia, Kaita, and Bindawa, and also in Kebbi State, Wara, Hilwa, and Gwandu. In Zamfara State, Shinkafi and Gunmi. And we also added that in Kebbi State, Wara, Hilwa, and Gwandu, like I mentioned earlier on. In Borno State, Briel, Jigawa, we have Gwaram. In Kwara, Jeba. In Niger, Mashegu and Kontagora and are also included. And it is important that all of these places take proactive measures. This is not just to say that it is only some of these states. Abuja is also inclusive, like I said earlier on. So we don't want an issue of like reactive measures, but we hope that stakeholders in all of these states and all of these communities would take proactive measures in relocating people that are living in flood prone area to avert this issue.
Yeah, it is very important because we don't want to see the money that we don't have, you know, government now spending in order of providing succor to people that will be affected. So it's better to avoid it. And then these communities that have been mentioned, it is one thing for NEMA and NIMET, to bring their own warning, concerning flood, but it's one thing for the state and people that are concerned in these areas to act on it. I think it's very, very key. If you know that you are living in these flood-prone areas, you don't need someone to come and then ask you to leave. You should be able to tell yourself that you know you are not safe here. So just find another way of leaving that place and stay somewhere, for now, that will help even the country, because the main thing, we don't want that loss of life. That's what we don't want to hear. Joyce, thank you so much for doing this with me.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, and that's the much we can take. We'll see you tomorrow, same station, same time. Bye-bye, and God bless you.